The first thing you notice is the chair. Old wood, frayed leather straps, wires snaking across the floor. They called it Gruesome Gertie, Louisiana's electric chair. For most men, it was the end. But for one teenager named Willie Francis, it became something else entirely. The stage for one of the strangest battles between death and survival in American history. This story begins in 1945. Willie Francis was just 16 years old, poor, black, and barely educated when he was arrested for murder. The trial that followed was fast, brutal, and biased. He was sentenced to death. The state wanted him gone. Society wanted him erased. And yet what happened next would leave everyone questioning not just the justice system, but death itself. On May 3, 1946, guards led Willie into the small execution chamber. Witnesses gathered. The chair loomed. Willie was trembling, but not from the straps. They were used to trembling. No, this was something deeper. He was still a child, and he knew he was about to die. The switch was thrown. Electricity surged. His body convulsed. And then, chaos. Instead of silence, the room filled with screams. Willie's screams. "Take it off! Take it off! Let me breathe!" The chair had failed. You see, the state electricians who'd prepared Gruesome Gertie had been drunk. The wiring was wrong. The current wasn't strong enough. Instead of killing him instantly, it tortured him. And somehow, Willie Francis survived, staring at the men who'd promised him death alive. Now imagine the psychology of that moment. Imagine being strapped to death itself, feeling it course through your veins, only to realize that you are still here. For most people, it would break them. But Willie? Willie saw something different. A crack in the system, a chance. From that day forward, he fought. He argued that it was unconstitutional, inhuman to execute someone twice. That to strap him down again was not justice, it was cruelty. Lawyers took up his case. The press turned him into a symbol. And for a while, the boy from Louisiana, who wasn't supposed to live past that day in 1946, held the entire machinery of the state at bay. The courts debated. Could the state kill a man who had already tasted execution? Did surviving the chair mean he had paid his price? Was it fate, or was it simply a failure of wires and hands? The U.S. Supreme Court weighed in, and in a narrow decision, they ruled against Willie. They said the state could try again, that survival didn't mean salvation. But by then, years had passed. Willie had grown older. He had written letters, spoken to priests, lived through mornings he was never supposed to see. Every delay, every appeal was another stolen day, another small act of outsmarting the inevitable. In 1947, they strapped him to Gruesome Gertie once more. This time, the wiring was correct. The current flowed, and Willie Francis, finally, was gone. But the questions he left behind still remain. Because what does it mean when the state fails to take a life? What does it mean when the condemned survives the very thing meant to erase them? Did Willie Francis outsmart his execution, or did he simply expose the flaws in a system built by flawed men? Some call it fate, others call it failure. But to me, it feels like something deeper. Willie Francis was never supposed to leave that chair alive, yet he did. For 1 year, he lived as the boy who beat death, and in doing so, he forced America to look at its own reflection, the cruelty, the cracks, the humanity buried inside its cold machinery of justice. The prisoner who outsmarted his own execution didn't escape forever. But he left behind something greater than survival. He left behind a story, one that still whispers through history.
If even death can falter, what else might we believe is inevitable that really isn't?